I don't know how many of you remember the time when I used to do this show without any notes, that there were no notes in front of me, no production notes, nothing, just us doing show. I'm getting older. I need a lot more things to keep track of. Things are moving very fast. So I have copious notes in front of me, and I'm taking copious notes as I hear in the other room, in a workplace run amok, I hear just someone shout, "You are a short-sighted moron." I don't know what it was about. I don't know who it was directed at. Do you guys know that you don't work in a normal workplace?
If it's about the Heat, I'm going to go home.
Okay, what was it about? Jess, I don't know what it was about. I wasn't in there. I was in the other room, and I just heard someone shout, and I don't know who was shouting it at whom. The doors closed. You are a short-sighted moron, and I just don't think that would go in many workplaces.
I'm going to try and guess. I'm going to say Jeremy yelling at Fuentes.
It was Jeremy.
Wait, no. Was it about the Heat?
Yeah, it was.
So this nice guy thing's just a bit on air.
I just.
You're a monster behind.
I mean, there are a bunch of short-sighted morons.
Well, I don't know what to do with this part of the tension on our show. Like Mike Ryan, who fancies himself inventor of Heat Twitter and patron saint of protecting the doors of what excellence looks like with the Miami Heat, is appalled by the idea that Jeremy would support anything that's happening with the Heat. When I'm gonna jostle you right now when I tell you the Portland Trailblazers are basically as good as the Heat this year. If you haven't been paying attention to the last 6 weeks of basketball,
they've been on fire.
The Portland Trailblazers.
So fun.
The Portland Trailblazers have the same record essentially as the Miami Heat. So this is a calamity. I don't know how you can defend it, Jeremy, but I can't imagine how your last 2 days felt listening to this show, not being able to say anything.
It was truly remarkable, Dan. I mean, I'm not defending what the product looks like in the last several weeks or even this season. It's more the premise of the argument that stems from Mike Ryan claiming he's been right for 2.5 years.
That you've been wrong.
When the start of that was get rid of everyone, lose the play-in game, and has now become going to the finals twice is the worst thing that could have happened to the franchise.
It's a bad spot we're in, Heat fans.
I mean, it's insane.
But can you just text him because he's not here today? Or are we going to drag this out for 40
I'd love
minutes?
to drag it out.
No, Jessica, you wouldn't want to drag. No, see this.
I've already left.
Yes, Jessica. No, help me, Jessica. I need help managing this because Jeremy hasn't gotten to speak for 2 days. That's not good for anyone in his life. So Fuentes got an earful.
But him speaking good
Also
today is not good for any of us.
And he's been speaking the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, what happened with Fuentes?
He's a short-sighted moron.
What happened is the guys in there were talking about what this crew brought up yesterday, the idea of trading Bam Adebayo, and I just reminded everyone that everyone in the shipping container wanted to trade Bam Adebayo several years ago for Bradley Beal, and that is why I called them what they are, which is short-sighted morons.
Got him there.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Wake up, let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I do not know what you guys think is the big story of the day today because Chris Cody's got a new game I'm dying to play here called Patriotic or Annoying, and I want to get to it. Jeremy and Jessica have been hypnotized by Chalamet, And so I want to get to that as well. We've got a wild Billy Wednesday in the middle of Amin here. Billy, were you just surprised to learn that it's a wild?
Amin's here, so it's an Amin day.
I thought you were talking about Wild Bill Cody for a second.
Oh, Wild Bill.
How'd your dad's surgery go, by the way?
Yeah.
I hope it went well.
You didn't check on him?
No, you don't know.
I feel like I would have heard by now. If
Why
it didn't
would
go
you?
well.
Your dad was having surgery yesterday. You didn't think they'd check on him?
It was outpatient surgery.
Outpatient surgery.
Wait, first of all, I recorded with him yesterday evening, so I think he's fine.
You didn't? Wait.
Did you just remember?
I remembered that he went there after the show. I just talked to him later
Chris,
in the
I
evening.
believe all of us are appalled and just slow down.
I spoke to him.
Chris.
No, hold on. But
Chris,
you didn't say, hey, Dad,
Chris,
how
hold
you feel?
on. I don't think you understand how life can be taken for granted when old people go under anesthesia for any reason at all, and your father's health has been coughing for many years here. So perhaps when he leaves surgery, you want to know immediately that he's okay. And so while you talked to him last night, probably not soon enough, and it's okay that we judge you for being a bad son there.
All right, fine. I'll wear this one.
Did he get to keep it?
That's another good
Of
question.
course. Got to put it in a
Oh,
jar.
Chris.
What did you record about?
Wait a minute.
Top 100 guests in Greg Cody Show history.
Why he can't take a day
got
off?
the
He had
call.
surgery.
Wait a minute. Can we put that on display, that flap over his belly button? Did he take it home? Did you learn whether or not when you recorded with him, surely your father's going to want to talk about his surgery, but he's also probably on meds, isn't he? Like, isn't your dad left here yesterday to have a surgery? Isn't your dad loopy during the taping of the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody?
He's always loopy,
Yeah,
so
I can tell
nothing
the
was different. It might have been the Miller Lights, might have been the surgery. You never know.
Anyway, so there are a number of things I want to talk about today, but I really do think that the biggest story in sports today is Diana Taurasi retiring. It plays her entire career with one team. Basically, I don't have much of a recollection of women's basketball of any kind until Diana Taurasi and her teams introduced me to it. So
Hold on, man.
I was not watching
Cheryl Miller Mania?
I was not watching women's basketball in the late 90s. I was not. I was very late arriving to this. Diana Taurasi, basically, I can't tell the story of women's basketball without Diana Taurasi. Like, I'm not going back to Nancy Lieberman. Like, I know I can do the history of it,
Right.
but to me, she represents a pioneer as a 10-time All-Star, playing her entire career in one place. 2 WNBA Finals MVP, 1 MVP. Like, she is not
welcome.
only a pioneer. What do you mean you're welcome?
Guess who was on the staff
What?
for a couple of those rings?
You can't take credit for Diana Taurasi.
Look, man. Organizations win championships. Just
Thank
saying.
you, Amin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Appreciate you. As you were.
You think that you had something to do with Diana Taurasi's?
Well, for her WNBA championships. The UConn and the Olympic stuff, she was on her own.
What, so 6? Is it 6 gold medals?
Yeah, she did that on her own.
What about the EuroLeague titles? Do you take any credit
No,
for those?
those are on her own, too.
Okay.
It's just one of the great winners ever. And there's, I don't know what the proper way to celebrate these things is when they end. But the idea that, UConn mattered before her, but that she was a part of continuing everything that UConn did for women's basketball in the college game, and then gets to Phoenix and plays her entire career in one place, and is still amazing and a fan favorite at 40, and is a pillar of not just professionalism and caring, but also the cutthroat arrogance of she can be in a room with a bunch of Olympians and say to Draymond Green, hey, how does it feel to be the only one in here who never gets double teamed? Like, because if you think, I can't even imagine how cutthroat Diana Taurasi had to be as great as she was for as long as she was.
Whatever you imagine, multiply that.
Whatever it is that Kobe had about rip your jugular out.
Yes.
I would love to have an honest portrayal from all of her teammates of what it was to have someone with that competitive cruelty living inside her.
I thought that the Time article that announced her retirement did a good job describing her. I think it was Sue Bird's words. She's a kind asshole. Like, she's a very kind person, but she's an asshole. Like, she's got a very sharp wit about her. If you've ever watched her do the Final Four broadcast with Sue Bird. You understand like her vibe. She's ultra competitive, obviously, but like a very generous person also, a kind asshole.
Can you explain, I mean, as someone who, I imagine at this point you get at least a little bit of regional identity from the sports in that area, right? Like where you live, what she means to Phoenix, what she means to the place, a place you care about.
I thought you were asking about me. No, she's absolutely one of the iconic figures of the Valley, which is what they call the greater Phoenix area. So it's like Charles Barkley, Larry Fitzgerald, Steve Nash, Diana Taurasi. Mike Wilbon. Yeah.
Wilbon loves to claim Phoenix, but he just golfs there and like has a rental home there. Like Wilbon's Chicago. How does he get to be Phoenix?
I'm going to say right now. Anytime,
Wilbon's fraudulent Phoenix.
Every time I see him on PTI, I see that background.
Yeah, that's why
Camelback Mountain, baby.
He's not renting anything. That guy owns.
Okay, well,
people rent from Wilbon.
All right, he likes to be out there now, and maybe he moved his home out there, but he just got there. Like he's not somebody who's been. I don't associate him with Phoenix.
Relax, Danny.
But he's the Chicago to Phoenix pipeline is very strong. Yeah. Phoenix was one of the first places outside of Chicago to have Portillo's. So
yeah, there you go.
And it's probably Jerry Colangelo who made it happen.
And we're acting like
sure,
Wilbon doesn't have more than one home.
Yeah.
No, but his home is Phoenix.
It is now, but you can't. Can you claim both places? Can he claim Phoenix and Chicago?
We're claiming him. Charles claims Leeds, Alabama.
I claim like 6 places, so I accept.
I suppose that most sports shows today are starting with the Mavs and Luka, like that is the story that ends up engulfing everything else. And you guys all saw this, right? These weren't optical illusions. Luka is a good deal skinnier in 2 weeks. Is he not? Does he not?
What happens after a breakup?
Is that what it is?
It makes sense. Does anyone feel bad for Nico? No. Because I know we're going to do these things. We're going to take a victory lap today. There's video of him like oogling Luka during warm-ups.
Is it oogling or ogling?
I think it's oogling.
Googling.
Oogle. You can oogle someone.
I'm ogle.
I'm oogling you right now.
Well,
I think it's ogle.
Yeah, you Google.
Tomato.
You ogle.
Ogle.
You goggle? Maybe he's goggling him.
Relax.
What is the word? It's ogling, is it not?
Chris
it's not.
Cody's wrong.
I mean, if I said it, it's probably wrong. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, but so why would you choose that word? What do you mean to say?
I think whatever you guys were saying. That's what I meant.
No. What do you think?
No, he's right.
Ogling.
I
meant ogling.
No, I want you.
You guys did this yesterday with a word. I'm not the only one that does this. It's a tomato situation. Yes, I'm defensive.
I would just like for you to explain to me and to the audience.
Malika.
To define either oogling or ogling. What are you telling us that Nico was doing to
put the photo up
to Luka?
That's what he's doing.
No,
Look.
tell me. No.
He's looking over with his arms folded.
Leering at him?
Leering. There we go.
So he's
What's the word you use when you're looking at an ex-girlfriend's like Instagram page? What am I doing?
Creeping.
Okay, well that's what he's doing.
So that's what he's doing. Creeping is so much better than good work. Good work.
Googling. We got there.
From the back row.
Lurking? He's kind of lurking in the background.
No, lurking is more. I think there's movement that happens with lurking.
This is a lurk.
Yeah, you got to do that. If you're standing still,
he's in the cut.
Yeah, keep doing it, Jessica, so the cameras can catch you.
There you go.
Turn around,
team.
come back the other way. There it is. Okay. Yeah, that's lurking.
Okay, but
if you're standing still,
that's the creep from the SNL song. Do the creep. Yeah. Do the creep.
Well, but there.
I think it was called the crepe.
Oh, damn it.
I'm pretty sure, though, that the way Jessica's doing that is sort of creepy and haunting and awkward, but there's also some lechery involved in ogling. Is there not?
You can't see my feet. I'm tiptoeing a little bit. Like
a little high step. A little high step. There you go.
That's why I said oogling.
Toe
because
first.
I
it's
see
also kind of a ray gun situation.
Yeah.
Right. You've done yes, she did a lot of ray gun there. That's not creeping as much as it is just sort of starch.
There's
That's lurking. That's lurking.
There's a longing in that look.
Yeah. Longing.
See, okay.
Yearn.
He yearns. Have you ever yearned? Do you yearn?
A yearning?
I don't want to yearn.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Have you yearned?
We should just say, what is Nico doing to Luca and put a bunch of options.
Okay, that too. You can do that too. But
Is he oogling?
No, no, we're not going to do oogling or ogling again. But just to be clear, what you guys are saying, wearing a blue suit, and you began this by saying you felt bad for him.
In general, I do.
Okay, but he is there, and we're all looking at him, and while he ogles the X, we're looking at him saying, you're ogling the X because you really bleeped this all up. So he's sitting in the middle of his incompetence, right? It's been quite the storm. I don't know what he expected would happen when he traded Luka, but I'm guessing it's miles worse than he thought. Wouldn't you think? I mean, like
they've already admitted that. Rick Welch, who's the president of the team, Patrick Dumont, the governor, all of us say, well, the fan reaction has been much more harsh than we could have imagined, which, again, is kind of weird considering you traded the franchise player, the fan favorite, for a guy, like, not for a surefire, everyone's like, oh, you might have won that trade. I can listen to their, justifications and say, okay, if I squint and think about it, maybe, but at the end of the day, the popularity part, which, again, at the end of the day, this thing is a business. You got to sell tickets. You got to move merch. You alienated a massive part of the fan base. Dan, 2 days ago was the 31st anniversary of Dominique Wilkins getting traded from Atlanta. And that was kind of a similar thing where they thought, okay, well, this is going to give us a better runway to the future. Danny Manning was younger, all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, they somehow missed.
How many times are you going to say at the end of the day, do you think?
As many times as Charles Barkley.
It's unnecessary. You don't need any of the at the end of the days. We're at the beginning of the day.
First of all, a lot. First of all.
Okay, I think what you think at the end of the day is more important than when you think at the beginning of the day.
At the end of the day.
You've learned a lot throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, you draw a conclusion.
Yeah.
Right.
We're at the beginning of the day.
That's first of all. That's at the beginning of the day.
First of all, Kenny. And then it ends with, at the end of the day.
Is that your Barkley?
Who's that?
At the end of the day, this is Dan Le Batard. It's Stephen A.
Okay,
Smith.
I was going to say. I thought you were doing some Barkley.
At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, though, they massively underappreciated how much that dude meant to that market. And Dan, if you go to a Hawks game today and you see dozens of empty rows and empty seats, it's all tied back to that. That was the day they broke the city of Atlanta's heart, and they've never recovered. And I look at Dallas, and being good, everyone says, well, if you're good, that'll solve it. But the Hawks were good after they traded Dominique Wilkins for another 5 years until they tore it all down. But ultimately, you lost the love and the trust of the people, and I think that's what Dallas has done.
Okay, but this is what I was talking about with Taurasi and a connection to a community and what it is that got ripped away from Dallas fans. Because the unexpected in all of it, like when you're making a seismic noise that gets everybody around the Super Bowl and around sports to be like, holy shit, what just happened there? That's unexpected to me. Imagine what it feels like to have it be that kind of unexpected to a fan base that did not see it coming and had a relationship in the morning with that player and that person they thought was going to be for 10 years. And then what just happened? It's all over. And now they're all in PR spin and death threats, and he needs home security.
Well,
what?
Some of these things have been overblown.
Okay, but there's been an outcry. There's an outrage that's real. It's not just internet yammering. There's been, protests. Like, it's an unusual thing.
Yes.
A transaction, perfectly legal by any metric in sports, landed with a betrayal that makes a fan base feel like the rules were broken.
Yes.
But also, like, the way that it was done was super sketchy, right? Where it's like, we're just going to give him to the Lakers, and we're not going to let anyone else know that maybe he's on the market and maybe we could get a better deal. He's just going to go to one of the most popular franchises in the history of the league, to
And also
LeBron.
he's fat. And everyone was like, wait, what?
It really is a staggering kind of justification. Like, have you looked at him? That's basically what they said.
The Mavs should have, leaked the trade to NBA Central, like a fake Twitter account, just to gauge reaction.
To the slow report.
The slow report. Someone puts it out there. They see the internet's like, how could you do this? And then they go, you know what, maybe we're not going to do this trade. Nico has to regret it, right? I know we did this last week, but do you think if we truth serum, would he take it back right now if you gave him the chance?
Well, give me some video here, some audio support to some of the things happening last night at this game. What were they chanting?
They're chanting, thank you, Nico. Oh, that's gotta hurt. As he's oogling.
That's one video. They did it constantly. I heard it over the broadcast, and they never mentioned it. The TNT guys, at least I didn't hear Brian Anderson and Greg Anthony mention it one time. Dan, sometimes there are deals that, in retrospect, oh, man, that was a bad deal. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 4 first-round picks for Paul George. I understand the justifications. At the time, I was like, that's a lot, but it makes sense. And now as we look back, we're like, Jesus, what a terrible deal. This one, the moment it came out, it was so bad. Literally everyone working in the industry, forget about fans, working in the industry, thought it was fake. They thought it wasn't real.
That's right. Shams, the most credible, he had to say, no, I was not hacked. This is a real thing. But I do want to go back to where we started here, because I'm with Chris Cody on the front end of this, in that you work all of your life to get into a power position in sports. I don't know Nico's entire story here, but he is running the Mavericks, and all I've associated with the Mavericks and running the Mavericks forever has been Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban said he would have never done this. Mm-hmm. Mark Cuban, you can't hear from. He's run into hiding like the most public guy. Hasn't talked much about like giving his real commentary as someone I think he still owns 27% of the Mavs. Like, he had to be wounded by this. This had to be an over my dead body kind of thing where I'm guessing, you tell me, you know the inner workings of like real power better than I do. But Mark Cuban originally said, I'm still going to be in control of day-to-day operations. And then that turned pretty quickly. And then next thing you know, they're doing something that would have been done over his dead body if he was the owner of the team still. So that gets traded. It sends seismic shock throughout the league. And now this person who has worked their entire life, who made this trade for whatever the reasons they made that trade, that person's an international shame at being incompetent at his job. Like everyone chanting, you're just terrible. That could not have been what he expected. It just couldn't have been.
That's the job, though. That's the job, right? One, that's why those guys are compensated well. And two, when you want to make bold moves, it comes in the face of, hey, not everyone is going to understand this on day one, right? Indiana in 1987, the Pacers had whatever pick it was in the first round. Steve Alford, who played at IU and was this huge local hero, on the board. The Pacers take the skinny kid from UCLA, and they get booed. I think the draft was in Indiana. They got booed loudly. People booed. They went crazy. And a zillion years later, no one knows who the hell Steve Alford is, and Reggie Miller's a Hall of Famer and one of the 75 greatest players to ever play. The job is, when you are about to make a bold decision, the job is, hey, they may not understand it in the moment, but over time, I will be proven to be right? That's why you get the ability to do that deal. That's why you get compensated the way you do.
So you don't feel bad for him, and it's the job. All you're saying is get out of the feelings. It's the job. I know I'm expressing a minority opinion here. I feel bad for anyone that the internet leaps on their neck, okay? And this one's too easy, right? Like, it's not even that anyone disagrees. There are no arguments being made on the other side of this, and then Anthony Davis immediately gets hurt. I'm just saying that from inside whatever that man's life is right now, that must be unpleasant. Whatever the job was, it's probably not what he thought when he took that job.
Dan, two things. Number one, you constantly urge the internet to leap on my neck. And other people.
And Jeremy's.
Oh, my God.
And mine.
We put out a
Billy's.
poll asking if I'm
Chris
anti-American.
Chris's for sure. Yeah. Definitely Chris's.
That's a big neck to leap on.
Mike's. Stugotz.
Anyone else?
Why are you wearing sunglasses?
Lewis.
Greg.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm distracted because I think I just realized. Was that Sean Connery back there?
I don't know who that was.
What kind of voice was that?
I don't know. I mean, who was that?
He found a new neck to leap on. That's what he did.
You're right.
Where were we?
We're talking about Nico and the job, right?
We were talking about him mean sunglasses.
I know,
but
but Jessica said I changed the subject on him. The thing I wanted to talk about is the sunglasses because I think I know what's happened here. I was flipping through the trailers on Hulu the other day and I saw Mean on my screen, and now all of a sudden he's a movie star. He's a movie star.
Look, man, I mean, Hollywood came calling, and it was only a matter of time. You know, this sports stuff was fun while it lasted, but I found my new calling. You guys ridiculed Greg Cody, and I want it. Where's my camera? Right here. Greg, it's never too late. Look at me. I'm a huge Hollywood star, and I'm in 2 movies this season.
Two?
Year. 2
I mean,
movies.
it doesn't really matter if you're delivering a line to the camera if you're wearing sunglasses because we can't tell.
Well, I want Greg to know that as I face him, because this is a one-to-one conversation with Greg Cody, they want to shit on your dreams of being a thespian, of being an actor. But I'm here to tell you, Greg, you have the chops. You know why? Because you have the fire inside. You know, all it takes is the fire. Everything else they can teach you. They didn't teach me that much. You know, I was a natural talent, they said.
2 movies you've got that are out now? 2? I only saw you in 1.
Well, the other one is in theaters starting next week, and then wide release via streaming later on in Q1. That's industry jargon.
Yeah,
Dan.
thank
It
you.
means
Yes,
the first
it's the
quarter of
first
year.
3 months
Yeah,
of the year.
there you
Thank
go.
you for the industry jargon. Billy, Chris, I've seen on both of your faces that you're skeptical of what it is that I mean.
I thought he got drunk and fell and had a black eye, to be honest.
You know,
Respectfully.
when I did that, I came in here with no sunglasses on.
He did.
You know
But you
why?
didn't have a black eye, did you? You just chipped a tooth.
No, my face was swollen.
Oh.
The whole side of my face was swollen. I actually did the whole show not facing the shipping container. I was sitting over there, and I just stared at Dan the whole way because I didn't want anyone to see the other side of my face.
That was amazing to see all of that happen in real time and see Amin trying to hide on television while surrounded by cameras with his face.
You did a Jay Leno?
He tried to do shows where his face looked swollen. His face looked swollen weeks later.
That story just went away, the Leno one, huh?
Kind of like I'm hoping mine goes away too.
Oh.
But the one that stays is that Jay Leno, great comedian, and Amin El-Hassan, great thespian.
What is happening? Are you going to tell us about your movies?
Well-
Because I mean, Chris Cody is now frustrated with you. He's officially
I'm
frustrated
just
with
like,
you.
the audience is like, what are you in? Tell me.
Well, typically when you go on a talk show, the host is like, oh, and he sets it up and we have a
Dan's fault.
clip and
Okay,
everything.
I'm
but,
sorry.
you know,
All right,
just
so
not.
do we have a
Yeah,
clip?
let's play the
Do
clip.
we have a
Yeah.
clip? Okay, no, we don't have a clip. Okay, because you didn't tell me we have a clip. You just told me we're in 2 movies. I had to figure it out because I noticed 15 minutes too late that you were wearing sunglasses because the front end of my day sped up on me. And so it literally took me 15 minutes to be like, let me look at Amin in the eye to see if his face is still swollen, if his teeth are okay, or if he's bleeding from anywhere. Let me look him in the eye to see how sober he is or isn't, and then I realized you're wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, Dan. The movie's called Memes and Nightmares. It's on Hulu. It's starring Josiah Johnson and Jamel Johnson and a host of other people from around basketball that you may recognize. It is a mockumentary, not unlike the Spinal Tap sequel that our friend Brad Williams is going to be in. It's a mockumentary. This is not a documentary, ladies and gentlemen. The difference between a mockumentary and a documentary is this shit ain't real. We're making jokes. And the joke is that the J.R. Smith squinting meme has disappeared off the internet, has been scrubbed off the internet, and Jamel and Josiah are trying to find out who did it. And I'm in it as, I guess, in the mockumentary as an expert who's giving testimony about NBA Twitter.
Now, it didn't seem like Jessica or Jeremy were that interested, though they were nodding.
I just already knew this. That's
Yeah,
why
see?
I. Yeah.
Okay. I did not
Great
know,
idea from great comedians.
I did not
Professionals.
know any of this. So that's one movie you're in. What's the
Yeah.
other movie you're in? Because Chris and Billy seem unimpressed. They don't.
You're looking
Stop
for
trying,
someone.
yeah,
you're
you're
just-
cyberbullying
He's
us
trying
again.
to pit us against each other. It's not going to work this week, Le Batard.
No,
it's
I'm not
going to
impressed.
work this week.
We're
I'm
not
not
going to
impressed.
leap on his neck, Dan.
You're not even in like the main top cast part. You got to click on full cast to see your name.
I'm surprised they got Matt Barnes. Every
This
time
is
we
what
try
I'll
to
say
book
to
him, he's
you.
unavailable.
This is what I'll say to you, Chris. Watch the movie and let me know if he's not in it that much.
Well, wait, what's the second movie?
The second movie, and this one is because in this one, essentially, I'm playing myself. I'm playing an exaggerated version of myself, which I don't have much experience doing, Dan, as you know, playing an exaggerated version of myself. Hold on, let me take a swig of liquor at 9 a.m.
Steve Martin
He's
over
like
here.
a method actor, this guy.
You got to sink into the role sometimes. No, the other movie is called Americano, and it's an indie film, and I play an agent who is trying to recruit a basketball player.
That impresses me more. I don't know why, but that one impresses me more.
Yeah, well,
More lines than what's the end game, Spence?
That
or
one,
less?
that one,
way
you're
more
in
lines.
top cast.
Way more lines.
Does he have
my
a character
God.
name?
This one stars the dad from That's So Raven.
Yeah.
I don't think that did what you wanted it to.
It's all right. It's 2 movies. Look, it's hard to get movies made. It's hard to get acting work. AI is consuming all of the actors in Hollywood, and Amin is now he's going to have a Screen Actors Guild card, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be an acclaimed actor. You're gonna have acting credits no one around here has.
SAG Awards next year, I'll be there. Dan, people who are worried about AI, you know what? I'm not worried because AI could never replicate the passion, the depths of the human experience, right? That's not something that you can put in a little algorithm and it comes out. They try, but they could never, Dan. You know why? Because AI doesn't bleed. AI doesn't fall and chip its tooth and have half of its face swollen and have to do 3 hours of content while everyone is saying, why do you keep facing towards Dan and not towards us? AI doesn't have to do that, doesn't have that to pull from.
An act of bravery by you.
Some notes, a little less. A little less.
AI doesn't have that experience to pull from. To look at the camera dead in the eye and say, I'm here. I've lived. How about you?
How about me? How about my notes? That was great.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
I like to be directed. I like to be led.
Producer.
You know, this is more than Greg gave us yesterday when we asked him to act, and he said he was better than every actor in White Lotus.
Can we check in on your father and find out whether indeed he's kept that little flap that is above his belly button? I was hoping yesterday to get the crew to see if they could find that clip from Freedom that I thought was the best thing produced in those 24 hours, which is the interview at 4 a.m. Amin, don't get your feelings hurt by that. I thought the best thing that we produced in 24 hours was at 4 a.m. when Greg Cody checked in with a doctor in Tupelo, Mississippi, on a Zoom who was checking in. He had wood paneling in the back of whatever his office was, and he diagnosed the flap on Greg Cody's stomach to be something that was a benign sort of bird beak that we now have in our possession, I'm hoping, like that we're going to be able to show to our audience. I remind you that we got thousands of people to come out and see his toenail.
We did. Like hundreds of people in line.
No, thousands. It was over 1,000 people were in line to see a toenail.
Hear me out here. We construct right here in the middle of the table, in essence, a shrine.
I like that idea.
Put the thing in a jar, fill it with liquid,
A
and then
pickled jar.
the jar has inside it LED lights, so
Yes.
it lights up.
Yes.
And so this thing then reflects backward to a projection screen back there.
Jessica doesn't like
What
it.
if it grows and it grows a new Greg Cody out of it?
Oh, that would be awesome.
It'd be with us forever.
Little Greg Cody.
We have to do this. Is there the possibility that the Greg Cody show featuring Greg Cody is going to have a loopy Greg Cody talking after being drugged, after having had this removed, and where you'll get your exclusive information for whether this is now in his possession?
Seems like a classic Greg Cody thing because he got out of yesterday's show early to go to his surgery. I texted him, how was your surgery? Did you get to keep the thing in your stomach? Those are the 2 questions I texted him this morning. He wrote, yesterday was my pre-op appointment with the doctor who will do the surgery. The surgery itself is scheduled for April 14th.
So he horseshitted us yesterday.
But then he says, yes, they will not remove any body parts. Basically, there is a hole that the intestine is popping through. What they would do is push the intestine back in and seal the hole with a mesh screen.
This is
So there will be nothing. That's one of the more disgusting things I've ever read.
I think it's a violation of both your dad's privacy
A
and
mesh screen.
I don't think we're supposed to know any of that.
God,
Imagine popping Greg's intestine back in.
I think you are a horrible son.
Oh, now
we
I'm
get
the
that
horrible
visual?
son even more.
Jessica, it's like the hot dog scene in Role Models.
Oh, yeah. she's
Oh, God.
With Jane Lynch.
Oh, all time.
What's that? I need you to send another text to your father.
Okay.
And say, hey, Dad, also, another update. Amin has been in 2 movies now. Does that change our ranking of him in the top 100?
Okay, I will.
I wonder if we can find this old footage, and I don't know if it would still be available. But guys, when we tried to film the commercial last year at the Super Bowl for the Hee Haw 3, if you would have seen Greg's
Terrible acting.
attempts at acting, the amount of times we had to do the exact same shot where all you had to know was that you're turning over your left shoulder, not your right shoulder. Greg is one, and like Greg, a talented man with a beautiful voice, not an actor.
Look,
You know what? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, you know what? I blame the director. You have a talent, you direct around the talent. Guess what, guys? Now we're turning over our right shoulder. And that's it.
You're right. It
Maybe
was
he's not
on
an
me and
ambi
Yeti not
turner.
being good teammates either and following Greg's direction.
Dan, this happens a lot as an actor. I really get frustrated when, the directorial vision is a little too rigid. Doesn't have enough flexibility for a grander vision, a better vision, might I add.
A better vision.
Yeah.
A better vision.
Well, the people actually doing the acting, that's the story right there. Those are the messengers, the bards, if you will. The director is nothing more than just a guy who's, a little technical sidekick saying, oh, could you stand over here? Like, look, nerd, move the whole thing this way. And now I don't have to stand over there. I'm already here.
Well, in our case, the director was a woman, so there was
Still a nerd.
There you go. My mic wasn't on.
You gotta have your mic on. It's one of my favorite characters, but the mic has to be on for him. I am a little worried about Amin and what's happening around here because he wants to be in movies, or I guess he is in movies.
Want to be. People who don't have want, Dan. I am.
Okay. That was a poem. Okay. I want to say that mockumentary I'm watching, and I saw that it was executive produced by the King. That you're not just a movie star, but
Richard Petty?
Jerry Lawler?
LeBron.
Elvis?
Billie Jean?
that LeBron James, that this is a LeBron James executive produced vehicle. So you're running in real Hollywood circles.
Well, me, LBJ, Mav, we go back a long ways before the Hollywood days when it was just, that human sandbox you guys called sports, the toy department of humanity, I like to call it. We know each other from back then, so it was kismet, I think you could say, that we would all be working together on this side of the aisle.
Jessica, why are you shaking your head? What's the matter?
I mean, I didn't think his ego could get bigger. We need to get him back on American Ninja Warrior.
I think back of my earlier exploits, and they, Jessica, you say that, but I think about them now as they were motivational, right? These were character-building moments for me. American Ninja Warrior, losing the race to Billy.
When did this become inside the actor's studio?
American Ninja Warrior again. I'm surprised. I thought that the way this would be played was you would tell us that was just your first of many characters as a thespian.
Which character?
The character of failing on American Ninja Warrior.
Oh no! I wasn't an actor then. I was just a young boy trying to make his way through the world. But then it unlocked something inside me because it all started with the same feeling that Greg felt yesterday, right? Which is this. I've never done this thing. Who's to say? Maybe I'm incredible at it, and I just never known. I've never given that side of me an opportunity. And so you go out there, you tie up your shoelaces, you run out there in front of millions of people on TV, and you fail. And what you find out is, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought it would be.
Is this going to be all show?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I wanted to talk about Nico Harrison. Dan want to talk about my acting career. Memes and Nightmares on Hulu. Get it now.
Okay, so give us 90 seconds of your best material on the Mavs, on Luka, on last night, and during it, please just run on an endless loop Amin failing at American Ninja Warrior. Go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, hell of a game by the Mavs, who are missing a bunch of people due to injury. Kyrie Irving looked incredible last night. Dante Exum came along late. For all the hoopla about the Lakers, they haven't played good teams since acquiring Luka Doncic. This is probably one of the better teams they played. And I haven't been as impressed. I know they lost their mind after beating Denver on Saturday. But the other thing about this game is that Luka did not have a good game. You could tell that he was forcing it. Even he said it after the game. He was like, I just didn't have it going tonight. And it's amazing, Dan, anytime you can say, had a bad game, had a triple-double.
Well, there are three guys that have sort of bent the sports numbers, right? LeBron, Westbrook, and Luka are the only three players who have had triple-doubles against every team in the sport, right? That's what also happened last night. But no, that's not a good Luka game. That's an inefficient Luka game. Luka 6 for 19 or whatever it was is Luka not good enough? That's not. It's a triple double, but it's as unimpressive as those things can be.
Yeah, I mean it's not an unimpressive triple double. It's an unimpressive triple double for him, right? And what he shot from the field, that was unimpressive for him. And I think that's the big thing. Ultimately, like we said about Nico Harrison, it comes down to this. This deal isn't about this year. Neither of these teams will win the championship. Neither of these teams will represent the Western Conference, I don't think. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, can we honestly say that we think the Mavericks will be better off than the Lakers will be in the next 10 years?
You don't think the Lakers are playing for this year? You don't think the Lakers think they can win the championship this year?
Dan, whether they think it or not does not change what reality is. Right? This is not a championship team. This is not. I think this is a second-round knockout. I mean, if you look at, and I know we're over here, but if you look at the standings, the Lakers are probably going to finish either 4 or 5, meaning they'll play probably the Rockets or the Clippers in the first round. Okay, you'll win that one. And the second round, you play against a buzzsaw named Oklahoma City, and that's where all the dreams go to die.
Greetings to all. Welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2, nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma, to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canty. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but innings.
Hey, Le Batard fans, Roz Goldenwood here. Hi, I have a question for you. How many men's college basketball players can you name? Go, now. Okay, off the top of your head, how many women's college basketball players can you name? You know what? You might actually know more women's basketball players than you do on the men's side of the NCAA tournament. And what it really just signals is that women's hoops is having its moment, and there's so many different stars and players and storylines to discuss, and we've got it all here on Good Follow Show. We're talking about Unrivaled, beef coming out of Unrivaled, women are trash talking. Can they, should they? We discuss it. We also have WNBA champion Benijah Laney Hamilton join us for an exclusive one-on-one interview. We break down and preview some of the biggest matchups in NCAA college basketball, as well as preview the She Believes Cup final. Just make sure that you catch Good Follow. It drops every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, on DraftKings Network, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
This segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/prep. Terms and conditions apply.
This means that David Sampson is here. David Sampson is, it's a special day because he's also LinkedIn. What are you doing? Linking in over here for LinkedIn?
I am sitting here wondering how that promotion just happened and how thrilled I am for people to engage with Good Follow and laughing at the fact that no other promotion's ever done. So I can't wait for the Nothing Personal promotion. And so you can listen to me sing Human League, which I did on today's show because I was working as a waitress at a cocktail bar, and that much is true.
David, did you cut a promo for Nothing Personal?
Wasn't asked to. I mean, were you?
I'm being told in my ear that every show has been asked to and that they haven't received Nothing Personals yet.
Yep. Wow.
I will bet. Well, you are now impugning me and or Coca, and that is absolute horse hockey. There, you show me the proof of being asked to have cut a commercial, and then I will say I'm sorry.
All right. Well, what's happening right now?
We're gonna work on that proof.
Well, what is happening between David Sampson and everybody that he, instead of doing what he was supposed to do for LinkedIn there, he's just yelling about other people getting promotions.
Now I'm hearing that it wasn't an email. It was like he physically said it to every producer.
Verbal.
So,
Verbal.
There was a verbal conversation between Jason and Coca. Thumbs up from our director.
Yeah, Jason.
Well, no, okay.
If I've learned anything here, it's get everything in writing.
Damn right, Billy. Every last thing.
So who are you yelling at right now? You don't have promotions, but you're supposed to be doing something for LinkedIn right now, are you not?
We did it. You just move on.
Dan, I really don't want to do what you're doing right now, but if you're going to do it, we'll do it. Chris Cody read the intro. This is the segment that's sponsored by LinkedIn. He did it exactly as he was supposed to do, and now you're supposed to do the segment.
Now, Samson, in Dan's defense, in his mind, every promo has to come with a chant. LinkedIn, LinkedIn.
That's what I've grown accustomed to. That's what's happened. That is who I am.
We buy
now.
in here.
Now we've done the promo.
All right, thank you.
Yes, and.
So I want to wish a very special day to some people here because February 26th is notable. So a happy birthday to the late Johnny Cash. He would have been 93 years old today.
A happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
A happy 72nd birthday to Michael Bolton.
A happy birthday to him.
Wow.
I don't care. Good luck.
And, of course, the most important one, Twitch streamer Cheese turns 29 today.
A happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Cheese is 29.
Yeah, that'll do it. So, David, ESPN and Major League Baseball have divorced 3 years early. Why? What happened there? What does it mean that $550 million is just goes up in smoke?
Well, it didn't go up in smoke because now Major League Baseball has an entire package that they can sell to a different broadcaster and a different outlet to replace that money. MLB wanted to get away from ESPN because you couldn't find ESPN. This is really remnants of Skipper, where you can't find highlights in package A or B or C of SportsCenter. Baseball Tonight disappears. The promotion for baseball just stopped with ESPN, which, as Rob Manfred said, it has become sort of a declining, decreasing platform. And so the rights deal that baseball had with ESPN had a mutual opt-out after 3 years of the deal. And both parties said, you know what? I think we're both going to be okay without you. And the proof is going to be in the pudding. If MLB cannot sell the package that ESPN had for more than $550, then they lose. If they can sell it for more, then they win. And I would take the latter bet if I were you.
David, if you were Rob Manfred and you had two big offers that are roughly the same monetarily, but one is via streamer and one is via linear TV, which direction do you take? Assuming all the particulars are equal, the biggest difference is just method of distribution.
Well, but I would take linear, but I would want, though, there to be a streaming part of it. So I know I'm not answering exactly what you're saying to me, but you know that very few, if any, platforms are really going to be one or the other. Now, you could talk about Netflix and Apple and what they're trying to do there. But at the end of the day, let's change it to I want to reach the most people possible, whatever that is, if the money's equal. Now, if I can make more money and reach fewer people, I'm going to make more money and reach fewer people.
Was it really mutual? Like, was MLB really happy with this?
Yeah, this had been going on for years. ESPN had actually been signaling when they negotiated this deal, and it was announced in 21 that there'd be this opt-out. Every time we re-upped with ESPN, including in the Skipper days when I was a part of that, it was done with our fingers and toes crossed because we didn't feel loved, appreciated. It very much is like a divorce where sometimes you stick it out for longer than you expect to stick it out because you don't exactly know what to do next, or you have a fear of what to do next, or is it going to be just as bad next, or do I want to be with the devil I know versus the devil I don't? And that's not me discussing devils as people. That's an expression. but this has really been
What
signaled.
just happened there?
We-
What just
we know.
happened there? What just happened?
Thought you were
What-
talking
what-
about real
what-
people.
What did you do? You talked so much that you talked yourself into a circle, and then were afraid to offend people who related to the devil?
Well, today's my birthday.
Really?
And so
What?
it is.
You have the
So
same
there-
birthday as Cheese?
As Johnny Cash?
Michael Bolton.
I
Ethan,
do.
who left him off here?
And so here's the question. There's about a 48 to 52% chance that I'm going to get some sort of text or communication from my ex-wife. And so I wanted to be sure, in case there was someone listening to the show who may contact her, that contact wouldn't come back to me, that, oh, I referred to her as the devil,
You
which
just
I
made
didn't.
it so much
You
worse,
were
though.
worried
The
you
devil
called
you know.
your ex-wife the devil.
And now she knows
and
that.
now, of course,
To be
it's
I
clear,
didn't
to be
do
clear,
that.
hold
Kick,
on.
save, and abuse.
Guys, I'm going to stick up for David Sampson here. He did not call her the devil. He called her the devil he knew.
Yeah.
Big difference, as you were, David.
I appreciate you, Amin, and with friends like you, who needs agents? You know, if you're going to be in Hollywood, Amin,
Yes,
you
sir.
got to learn to play that just a little bit better.
Wow.
Jessica, getting back to the devil we know and the devil we don't.
He watches
The
movies,
big
I know.
question with MLB was, do we have a deal in hand where we can go to the owners and say that we are going to opt out of this deal with ESPN? We know that ESPN is not our friend. We are not happy with them. Do we know that we can do better? And my view is it would not have been a mutual opt-out if they could not do better.
When you say not happy with them, though, please correct me here if I'm wrong, because ESPN helped usher in a golden age of baseball on television. And as the sport shrunk and regionally cable networks bought things up, ESPN covered baseball a lot less than they used to, a lot less well, and just with a lot fewer resources. What you're talking about now, like Tim Kirkshin and a bunch of other people we care about over there, have drowned under they're not paying very much care to baseball over at ESPN. They're not covering it with a lot of resources. Isn't that part of what ends up happening at the end here?
Well, at the end, everything is always worse than it was when it got to the end. But Dan, I'm not talking about the resources. I'm actually talking about ESPN made a business decision, and we never blamed them for it. We just commented on it, that the business decision of when baseball games get moved to ESPN2 instead of on Big ESPN, or what gets simulcast on ABC as well as ESPN, or where in the highlight in Sports Center when it used to matter whether you're in the first block or not. What kind of, you're talking about Tim Kirkshin, you're talking about some of the best people who cover baseball who are employed by ESPN, but at the end of the day, they invested more money in other properties like the NFL, like the NBA, and therefore they wanted to support the properties that they spent more money and invested more money in, and that's their decision. That works fine. But there's no coincidence that Fox announced yesterday, right after the ESPN MLB breakup, that Fox is leaning even more into baseball with some really cool things that they're broadcasting and more expansive service and time and resources and money. That's not a coincidence.
I guess what I'm asking you, David, and I'll leave it at this, the partnership between ESPN and baseball, it's a television partnership. It benefits both parties. If Major League Baseball goes elsewhere, are they going to be able to just get more programming and power because it's going to matter more for that entity to have baseball?
Of course, it's the same with the NBA. The NBA left Turner, they left WBD, and they're going to get a whole lot of love and attention from NBC and Peacock.
So the property is worth more than that. When you say I'd make the latter bet, you're saying the property is worth more than the $550 million.
No, what I'm saying is we're going to know for sure because there's going to be an announcement by baseball that they have a new deal with the package of assets that used to be with ESPN. And if that package, believe me, we'll find out, is the package worth less than $550, then MLB was wrong. If it's worth more than $550, they were right.
You started this segment with the lyric from a song that 7 people in our audience got. And you were doing this because I assume it was your birthday, and I don't even remember what the song was. But what do you?
Don't You Want Me by the Human League, Dan? Come on, it's a classic.
Okay, yeah, but I wasn't paying that close attention. He was just amusing himself and 7 people that he was making that reference for. And so I was just curious, do you have some birthday habits? Like, do you have, are you an unusual birthday person? Does it mean something to you super meaningful that today is your birthday and we've gotten you nothing and we haven't celebrated it and we celebrated the birthday of cheese instead?
That was something. So what I do on my birthday, it's a 24-hour day. So my day, I watched the Mavs Lakers, and that got me past midnight. And then I watched The Brutalist. And then, of course, there's people I'm in touch with in various time zones, starting around 3:30, 4 a.m., starting with texting and conversations.
Dan?
And I will push straight through. So I stay awake every birthday. I'm awake for the full 24 hours because I don't want to waste a minute of it. I find it to be laughable that people want to sleep on their birthday, like blow off 1/3 of it. You'd fall behind in contacting people who are reaching out to you with such love and attention, like on Facebook, that you really need to respond to. But I do that. And the other thing I do every single birthday, and you're gonna make fun of me, Dan, because you think I do this on purpose. There isn't a birthday that goes by that I don't watch Let It Ride. You're going to laugh because you think that's all I talk about, but it just happens to be true.
It's just pathetic. It just is. It's just so pathetic.
Mark that laugh, please.
So you're not double nickels anymore? That's a bummer.
I'm Heinz.
57. Ah.
Nothing gets by. Wait, did only 7 people in the audience get that?
No, your ketchup joke?
It's not why is that a joke? That's more a description.
So you're okay.
Jessica said double nickels, and I said Heinz.
So are you okay with a birthday text? It sounds. That doesn't offend you if someone just texts you?
Well, it's interesting. There's a hierarchy. So there's the Facebook message, then there is the email, the text, the phone call, and then the picked up phone call is obviously the top of the food chain, that when someone calls and then I pick up, assuming I'm not doing a show, which I'm scheduled to be doing for most of the day, actually. But that's how I look at it. And when people are in a different place that I thought they would be, that can lead to a problem with expectation in terms of either surpassing or falling way short of what I'd expected.
How do we feel about the day after happy belated birthday?
I go with happy 364 days before your next birthday.
Where in the hierarchy is the devil? No, not the devil you know. The devil in general.
I'm not a big believer in that.
Oh, okay.
So I think that all the devils we know are sort of Kaiser Soze-like, that they're right here in plain clothes.
I do want to laugh for a moment as people get to look behind the curtain here at the idea that David Sampson, who I'm going to guess is working about 16 to 20 hours a day. He doesn't sleep. He's crazy. He's an unbelievable weirdo.
Working 20 hours a day.
I don't know. How many hours?
He just said he watched 4 movies yesterday.
But
One of them was 3.5 hours long.
How many hours a day do you think you're working, Dave?
I would say realistically 15. That's all. But I do watch, but I count. So above the 15 is a movie that I'm not going to review on Nothing Personal, like my Let It Ride 85 minutes today. That will not count as work. But The Brutalist I'll review on Nothing Personal. And yes, that was a 3-hour and 25-minute movie. But Jessica, there was a 1-minute intermission on the home Brutalist. In the theater, it's longer, 15 minutes. But for home, when you spend the $19.99, it's only a 1-minute intermission, which is barely enough time to do anything.
You were going to say take a shit, and you censored yourself.
I was going to say pee-pee.
Well, I do the same math, by the way, as David. Anytime I'm watching sports, according to my wife, I'm working. Sorry, honey. Got to work.
What I'm saying, though, is that David's always talking. He's always busy. And in the middle of that, he's always worried, also in the middle, that he might say something that would get back to his family as him calling his wife the devil. And it's where he
The devil he knows.
Stop it, Dan.
It's where he stumbles and it's where he falls down, even though he likes to fancy himself like a ballerina with words.
Dan, I'm begging you here. I am actually, and there may only be 7 listeners who care about how much I am begging you to stop doing what you're doing.
Is the devil one of those listeners? Not the devil you know, the devil in
All
general.
right, listen.
Dan?
Sammy Sosa was back in the dugout yesterday. Sammy Sosa is in a
Transition.
Well, I mean, he's
ever.
sitting here saying, "Wait a minute, you're gonna beg me on air. You're gonna look. You're like, Dan, I'm begging you, and so I have to back off. And how do I back off? I go to Sammy Sosa. Like, yeah, it was a terrible transition because you're telling me back off, Dan. I'm begging you. I'm begging you."
So Sammy Sosa.
Every time you talk, you're not backing off.
Begging you.
Oh, that's
Sammy Sosa was in Chicago. Did anyone see that? Did anyone see Sammy Sosa's quote from yesterday? He showed up at spring training, first time in like 20 years. He had a détente with the Ricketts family, and he was speaking to young players about how to be successful. And all he said is, you really have to work extra hard to be successful, and then even harder to be a superstar. And all I kept picturing is whether he would call him like into a corner and unzip that toiletry kit and say, look at the needle. That's the way to do it.
Now, I know what a détente is, but Amin doesn't, if you could tell him.
It's when things get better.
Oh, okay,
it's
good.
when all of a sudden people are getting along when they didn't get along, and now everything's good again. It's like in a relationship, like with a partner or a significant other, and there's a problem. And instead of going the divorce route, you go the mediation route that then leads to a rekindling of the love.
Détente,
or
Nick.
an extension. It's a détente.
David, would you say ogle, ogle, or ogle?
I say ogle.
Damn it.
David, quick question. You know, you were the president of the Marlins. Your spring training is always here in Florida, Grapefruit League. As a president, I know scouts will go to the other league, but have you ever been to the Cactus League?
No, I would stay in Florida with our team. So we would go to Jupiter, and we would stay in Jupiter from, let's say, February 15th up until the last day, when we would try to find exhibition games to play and get paid to do it before the end of spring training. So I love to stay in Jupiter. And there were times that I could have driven back and forth to Plantation, but would choose to stay up in Jupiter, which some people commute. I chose not to. And spring training is rebirth, even when you think you're going to stink. Like Bruce Sherman of the Marlins said, hey, take the over 63.5. I don't think he should be talking about gambling, but he was very bullish on his team going over 63.5. And that's really saying something, isn't it? So it's a time for hope.
It's the best preseason in sports, right?
By far.
By far.
just
Cactus
has a
League is
vibe.
great, by the
Cactus
way.
League is amazing.
Portillo's. You go to Portillo's and you go to a game.
No Portillo's.
Oh, Portillo's.
Florida League's better, but it's fine.
No way. No way. Buddy, I'm telling you.
David, tell
Have you ever been to Cactus League, Chris?
I've seen of it.
Oh, let me tell
Never
you right
been.
now. Let me tell you right now. Grapefruit League, that's for old folks. Cactus League is if you want to get a party going, man.
Can't be true.
Oh, that's not true. I mean, that's not, believe me, that's not true. The players and staff can party pretty hardy in spring training. Now, when the Marlins were in Vieira, I'm not sure, maybe this is again, Dan, 7 people who know what Vieira is, but that is a place that is in the middle of Ekvelt in Florida. That is not where you want to be to party. But when you're in the Palm Beach area and Fort Lauderdale area, you are loving life.
No Portillo's, though.
I think it's Portillo's, but hold on. Party
Hardy?
hardy? Party pretty hardy?
What was that, David?
This is a neck that needs to get jumped on.
Party pretty hardy.
I believe that's an expression that is not Heinz related. I believe that when people party, you can either party meekly or party heartily. And I was saying
Heartily
to
now.
party hardy.
David was one of those people who would walk into a party and say, what comes before part B, right? You ever drop that line?
What is the
David?
hardy in your party that you're talking about that you imagine at? And I didn't mean to be insulting. I'm guessing it's Portillo's. I don't know. Is it
It's
Portillo's?
Italian. It's not Hispanic.
No, I think
Okay.
Dick Portillo may have had Mexican ancestry. Someone should look into that.
I thought that
They do
Phoenix,
serve Italian beef, though. That's one of their prime.
I assumed you were talking Mexican because of how delicious that would be with Cactus League. Like if you were go margaritas and Mexican food, that's why I assumed that's what I thought you were doing there. That you were.
You've never heard of Portillo's?
No.
It's a
It's
Chicago,
uniquely Chicago.
Yeah, it's a Chicago hot dog
in
place.
Arizona.
Well,
A
they
hot
have-
dog with the pickle on it and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, Dick Portillo sold the company recently for $1 billion, and now they're everywhere.
Are they? Mm-hmm. How about that?
A lot
From
of
a
Big Ten
modest
towns.
childhood as the son of Greek and Mexican immigrants. So, Portillo's?
Portillo. It is Portillo.
I'm watching a commercial to see how they say it, and then that's how I'm going to say it.
They say Portillo's.
You say Portillo's.
You don't have to second guess me on this.
Okay, I'm sorry. We've done a withering judgment of this. I just assumed you were going
Maybe
to.
he says his own name differently, but the chain is commonly called Portillo's.
Oh, boy.
But
She's
Dan said
backpedaling.
it's the other one. So
Well, Dan would know because he just found out about it 5 minutes ago.
You thought it was a Mexican joint.
I did. I thought I copped to my ignorance.
Margaritas.
I thought you were doing a bit, but no, that was you were actually correcting me. Got it. Okay.
Dan in his head heard.
I just assumed that spring training baseball and a Cactus League, if you're selling me on a party that's hearty, I assumed it was salted margaritas in the midday.
Of course she was wrong, though. How would she know any of that?
That's a really good voice. I
It is.
like that.
The character needs to flourish.
I don't like the covering of the microphone, so I don't get it fully.
David. You're my favorite person on the show.
Even though I'm 57.
Happy birthday, David. I'm always rooting for you.
Oh, God. Now I know you've gone too far.
You're the devil I know.
Don't you forget that.
Jessica,
Okay.
have you gotten to the nominees? Have you gotten to all of the Best Picture nominees? Because I'm sure David Sampson has a whole lot of opinions. I don't know if you're going to be able to get through this by the end of the week.
I have not gotten to the Brutalist yet, David, but did you like it? And did you think Adrian Brody was Best Actor worthy?
So after at about 4:52 a.m. as the credits were rolling, my head was that I thought Chalamet was better in A Complete Unknown. And going into it, because Adrian Brody had won up until the SAGs, he had won every award, I was assuming that I was going to be all in on Brody. He was good, don't get me wrong. And the movie is a masterpiece. It deserves the nominations it's getting, the production design, all of the way it looks, the way it feels. Brady Corbet is the director. Really, truly an amazing movie. But Chalamet in A Complete Unknown was better, and his speech at the SAG Awards is what got me there. I loved it. I think it's great.
Let's play it right here, actually, for the audience.
I know the classiest thing would be to downplay the effort that went into this role and how much this means to me, but the truth is this was 5.5 years of my life. I poured everything I had into playing this incomparable artist, Mr. Bob Dylan, a true American hero, and it was the honor of a lifetime playing him. It's an honor I share with Monica, Elle, Edward, the entire cast who, in a genre, doing a biopic that could be perhaps tired. Everyone gave it their all. So I'm deeply grateful to them. And lastly, I can't downplay the significance of this award because it means the most to me. And I know we're in a subjective business, but the truth is I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight. I'm as inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, and Viola Davis as I am by Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps, and I want to be up there. So I'm deeply grateful to that. This doesn't signify that, but it's a little more fuel. It's a little more ammo to keep going. Thank you so much.
That's
I'm in.
unusual.
I
That's
love him.
unusual.
He's the best.
You don't see acceptance speeches like that often where you just acknowledge, I want to win. And he's on the Oscar trail right now where he's doing a whole bunch of things, campaigning in the current day of campaigning. Thank God it's different than the way it was done in the Harvey days, you know, when Shakespeare in Love won, which is a movie I loved, but in hindsight, so angry about how it all went down. He's campaigning to win an Oscar, wants to be the youngest Oscar winner, best actor ever. And for him to admit it, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying that you want to be the greatest and that this is a sign that you are on your way to be recognized by your peers that way? And a bunch of people were negative about that speech, and I was not one of them.
Hot take here. I love that speech. I love that sentiment, everything that you're talking about. I don't like that Chalamet shows us a little bit too much of himself. At Knick games, like, I don't want to know that you love the Knicks and you're just a dumb Knick fan like all my friends in my group chats. I want that. I need him to maintain that mystery, that
Daniel
Hollywood,
Day-Lewis would never.
that Hollywood superstar mystique. I want him to be unattainable.
To the point,
I
though-
like that he's like a regular New York
Exactly.
kid.
But he was just telling you he doesn't want to be one of the regular people. He wants to be Daniel Day-Lewis and Brando.
And he's like 29.
I'm telling
No,
you.
he's way younger than that. Please check
no,
that.
I think he's
believe.
29.
But my view is that Daniel Day-Lewis, he's going to be
My
Daniel
view is he's
Day-Lewis in
29
his
because
50s.
he's 29. But
Yep.
everyone can
So
keep
he is.
correcting me in this
Daniel
section.
Day-Lewis
I'm
is
wrong.
67.
I believe
No,
that
he's 29
Chalamet has
too.
a chance. Do you remember him in Love the Coopers?
I remember him in what movie was it where he played Interstellar? He played like the son.
douche.
Yeah.
The little
Was
douche
he a
kid.
douche?
Oh no, that was
That's in Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up. He was the little.
He was
douche.
great in that too.
He was.
He's
played-
He's had
29.
such a cool career, and his press tour, like you mentioned, David, like not just campaigning for the Oscar now, but the press tour that he had leading up to A Complete Unknown is what got so many young people to the theaters to go see it, because he was being this authentic weirdo that he is. He was talking about ripping Milk Duds and sucking all the chocolate out of it to chew the caramel like a weirdo. Like, he was having some of the strangest interviews you've ever seen. And it was so admirable because it was just this dude who was like, yeah, I waited outside of a Broadway show because I saw Amari Stoudemire was there and I wanted to get his autograph. And I did the same thing for Landry Fields. He should be every sports fan's favorite actor because he's competing like those who we admire in athletics. And he's a giant sports fan himself. I love this guy.
I love Milk Duds.
Michael Phelps is 39.
Thank you. I actually didn't know that. The other actor, other than Brody and Chalamet, who has pretty good odds to win Best Actor, is Ray Fiennes, who is the star of Conclave. Where do you rank his performance? Because I'm with you. I haven't seen The Brutalist. I thought Chalamet was amazing in A Complete Unknown. I really enjoyed that movie. It helps that I also am a big Dylan fan. But I also thought Ray Fiennes was excellent in Conclave.
Has Ray Fiennes been bad in any movie ever?
No. Well,
I was thinking
Voldemort, maybe.
The only thing he's been bad at is pronouncing his own name. It's Ralph. You can't like mystify us like, ooh, it's Ray Fiennes, this great actor. It's Ralph. Ralph Fiennes.
Not American, I mean.
Doesn't matter. There's an L in there.
I didn't like the last Harry Potter. I'll give him low. I thought that it was weird. I don't know. I
It
didn't
was just
like
a
when
bad
they-
ending by the
it was just
screenplay,
a
not from
bad. No, he's fine. He was fine.
Ray
Ray
Fiennes
Fiennes.
is 62.
Why was there,
There
a
is
negative?
some talk, folks, that Ray Fiennes could sneak away. You know when they say that if there's a split at the top between Brody and Chalamet, and then all of a sudden you got the third guy come in and take it, at Ray Fiennes? I don't think he's going to win, though people should see Conclave because we could be days or weeks away from watching a real life Conclave. Obviously, I hope the Pope fully recovers and everything's fine with him. But at the end of the day, this movie is about what actually
Another at
happens
end of
behind the
day.
snes.
Another guy.
Another
with the,
devil
and the
you
end
don't
of
know
the day.
situation.
Look, he's from England. Name me one other person. Any other person named Rafe, spelled Ralph.
Okay, I want to be clear on this. Is a mean because this is a great insult. If this is true, I didn't know it to be true. You don't get to change Ralph to Ray so that we consider you more of a thespian. You're still Ralph, if indeed you're Ralph. I just don't know if Amin's got this right. It's a great insult if he's got it right because Ralph is different than Ray.
Because I've watched EastEnders and other BBC shows, and there have been characters in Ralphie, come on. I've never heard Rafey.
Do you think people in Britain, when they burp, they go Rafe instead of Ralph?
Maybe it's not an L in the middle of his name. It's a capital letter I.
Oh,
So it's Rafe.
great take.
The Pope's 88.
Which one?
David, what is the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
I want to review an important movie that I hope you'll all see. It's a documentary, and it's not nominated for Best Documentary, but
Dreams
it's
and
called
Nightmares?
Don't Die. And it's about this guy who spends millions of dollars in order to stay young and live forever. It's called Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. And it goes through what he does. And it seems like a pyramid scam because he's trying to sell products and get people to come to conferences. But he's got a routine that would make my routine look like Le Batard's routine. And what it does is it basically gives you a shot. Now, you could still get run over by a bus. You could still meet an untimely, unfortunate death in myriad ways that family members can have happen to them. However, he looks really good. And what if he's right? That's what I was thinking when I was watching the movie. Is there stuff I can do more than I'm doing now, not as much as he's doing, that would enable me to get double Heinz, which is really what I'm trying to get to. I want to get to $1.14. That is sort of, I want to be at the 4.5 inning right now. I want to be at 50%. To do that, I keep wondering, should I do anything differently? And this documentary gave me a few ideas, some of which I'll take, some of which I will not take.
God, you would be so short at 114 years old. This guy
What?
goes, because older people shrink. You'd just be so tiny.
No,
You'd just be so small.
So that's actually taller people shrink. I'm already
David.
shrunk.
Tell
I'm
that
not
to
gonna
my
shrink
grandparents
it.
who were roughly your height in their double nickel era.
I love
and
the
then
idea of short
continue to
people
get shorter.
growing as
What do
they
you
get
what do
older.
you have happening here, David? You're going to get shorter.
I do not believe that is accurate, actually. I think tall people get shorter. I don't think short people get shorter.
No, all people get shorter. All people get.
But I'm already short.
So were my grandparents, little tiny Italian people, and then they kept getting shorter and eventually couldn't even
Do
see
you
them. They were
have
so
you have
small.
yourself leveling off, or do you have yourself growing with age?
No. How would I grow with age?
Well, I don't know how you're staying the same. Like I don't. How
How are you
going to
get to 114? I mean,
You're gonna be like a little Polly Pocket. I'm just gonna put you in my little pocket. That guy who that documentary is based off of, he goes viral on social media every now and then because he posts pictures, not cheese. This guy's 47, by the way, Billy. And he goes viral because he like has some sort of blood transfusion thing going on with his son, David, that people think is
Yes.
really weird. He's like trying to steal his son's youth. Did they dive into that kind of weirdness
They
on this?
did. So when I said I would do some and not all, I am not involving my son in this. I am not trying to take his blood or do transfers. Now, it's funny because it's just doping if you think about it. And doping has been a scandal that happens to be a PED in sports and cycling. And there's great documentaries about that, or you can just bring on Lance to talk about it. But this is an example where he's trying everything, but something's working decently well because he looks damn good.
It's Brittany Renner's birthday, by the way.
Thank you, Amin. You're still in
How old
movie.
is she?
You're in-
32.
You're in movie star character still. Thank you, Samson. Good talking to you. Look at him. I guess happy birthday. We should be saying happy birthday to
Brittany
him as
Renner.
well. Look, what are you laughing about, Billy? You
I
think
guess happy birthday
Billy?
is the weakest
So
happy birthday wish ever.
Where's
To
that on the
cheese.
hierarchy?
I'm sure they spoke at like 3 a.m. this morning.
the Billy?
Hey.
I was just disoriented because you did a lot in very small windows during this hour. Like you had me spinning with what it is that you were whispering in small windows during this hour.
He's 34.
You've had a very strong
Me?
hour. The Pope is 88.
I'm not.
Dan, do you want to eulogize David before he goes like you normally do to people on their birthday?
Well, he has
trilogy.
57 years.
He's 57 years old. Yeah, you want to talk about mortality?
Well, you wrote like a little thing for Greg on his birthday. You didn't write anything for David.
Well, David's getting to 114, guys.
So it's a
That's
hierarchy.
true.
Dan, we've just begun. I don't want to be eulogized by you. You don't need to say anything other than happy birthday, have a great day, goodbye.
All right, because you said you had a lot. All you were doing is taping all day, and then I said you worked 20 hours, and you said 15, and everyone laughed at you.
Because they thought that was the under or the over.
They don't believe you. I'm guessing they think you're watching Let It Ride all day.
I think that there's more people than you think who don't believe that, but that's perfectly okay too. We're all good. It doesn't matter. I work efficiently. Some days I work more hours than others. Some days I sleep more than others. But in general, I try to get a lot done because, Dan, there's a lot to do every day.
Yes, I understand.
If I could spend less time per day trying to get in touch with you, I would be able to sleep more and live longer.
Okay, because you want me working 15 hours a day too.
I just want you answering a text or a call once in a while.
You guys need a
That's all.
detente.
Erica Badu is 53 today.
Thank you, David. Good talking
See ya.
to you. Yes,
Goodbye.
Johnny Cash. Oh, we didn't even get
For
his.
what it's worth, David, I really like your birthday suit.
What?
Send him to the
That did not land right.
party hardy, David.
Jeremy, no, stay there. No, don't go.
Okay.
No, stay.
You want to hear from me about the Heat?
Jeremy? No, I'd like you
Uh-huh.
to explain to me why you decided to whimper a goodbye that began with "for what it's worth" and then threw a nice compliment at Samson, and you thought that would be okay.
Jessica told me to.
Oh, it's her fault.
I'm just telling you the
Everything's my
truth.
fault this segment.
You understand? Because a birthday suit, it also means like you're naked. Yeah. But he's wearing a special jacket on his birthday, and it's nice, and I liked it, so I figured I would tell. Hey, David, I like your birthday suit. Yeah. But that
All
also.
right, see you,
like,
David. Thank you.
You know.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to check in with a few teams that we think are contenders, and we'll let you know what we think we need to see from them in this next 6 weeks or so. Let's start in the Eastern Conference.
Let's do the New York Knicks, right? Because they have had a weekend, not a good one either. They need to beat some good teams. This weekend was a perfect example of that. Friday, they lost by 37 to the Cavs and then lost 118 to 105 to the Celtics on Sunday. Man, I mean, the Cavs are 0-5. Sorry, the Knicks are 0-5 versus the Cavs and the Celtics this season. losing by an average of 21.2 points. All right.
That's right.
This is clearly a defense that needs some work. Like you're talking about giving up 61% shooting to the Cavs, not this last game, but the previous time that they played them. It is embarrassing what they're doing out there defensively at times. That is the one thing I need to see from this team. It's way better commitment to defense.
Oh man, where do I begin? So first of all, they're under 500 against teams that are over 500. 0-5 against Cavs and Celtics, the best two teams in their conference. In many ways, and this is going to sound weird to a lot of people, this team is more talented and has a higher ceiling than last year's New York Knicks. I think last year's New York Knicks were a better team. I mean, just in terms of execution and ruggedness defensively, they got stops. They got stops when they wanted to, and they were able to score opportunistically. Now, obviously, you had other things. You had Julius Randle doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. You had a lot of pressure on Jalen Brunson to create if Julius Randle wasn't allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. And so, yeah, that put some pressure on, and obviously that pressure ended up with injuries, and the season ended the way it did. This team doesn't have those pressures. I think Towns is a perfect fit. He's been great for them. But defensively, they just can't stop anybody, and that's despite having some really good defenders in Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. But every time you step out on the floor, Izzy, in 40% of your starting lineup, Brunson and Towns are defensive liabilities of some sort, you're going to have some issues, no?
Wasn't the calling for Knicks fans, wait till Mitchell Robinson comes back, he'll save everything, he'll be the difference maker? It just shows you what kind of a void they have there. And I would say, yeah, I think last year's were a better team. I think they were more centralized in where they were going. Like, if you're telling me Jalen Brunson's my number one option and my number two option I don't really trust, okay, I'm good going to Jalen Brunson over and over and over again. Now you got Cat, I mean, I don't think they're running stuff from Mikal Bridges very much, but you've got other options here, and you're supposed to be more versatile, but you're not. And so you're more versatile, but you're not more effective. And so if you're not defending as a result, like, you're just going to be in a shootout, and more often than not, you're going to lose, and you're certainly not going to win shootouts in the postseason.
Yeah, I to be clear, before everyone loses their the Knicks offense is really good. Their half-court offense is scoring like 120-plus points per 100 possessions. That's second best in the entire NBA behind Cleveland, right? The big question here is, how do they get stops? Because like Izzy said, you can do all that run and gun, but it's not going to work when you run up against a team that does it also and also defends. Cleveland also defends. Boston also defends. Hell, even Milwaukee this year has been reached also defense territory. Do the Knicks do that? Can they get those stops? Let me ask this question, Izzy. Does Mitchell Robinson fix all that ails them?
I mean, it depends on your five-man lineups. I don't think he solves everything. I mean, there's a report from Shams that Robinson's closing in on his season debut. I think he will help. I think he'll help with depth. I think you're probably going to have to play him alongside Karl Anthony Towns, right? You can't just have him be the fill-in for him, because then you're not really getting as much minutes from him. You're not getting as much productivity on the defensive side, because those two bigs, I mean, that would be pretty daunting to go against.
Yeah. No, like, that's pretty much the fix, right? You just play Towns at the 4, but then that might create more issues than it actually solves, because now, he's been struggling guarding 5s or playing the 5 defensively. I don't know how playing the 4 defensively.
Especially not against the Celtics.
Or against the Cavs, man. What, you gonna put them on Mobley? Yikes!
Not great.
Yikes! Yeah.
Playoffs sometimes mean having to say goodbye, even if you're not ready. Careers wind to an end, mantles taken, last chapters written. But stars emerge, to write new, exciting stories. For every door that closes, a new one opens. For every immunized quarterback that falls short, there's a young hotshot ready to take his place. There's nothing quite like playoffs. The playoffs. Heavy is the head that wears the crap. I'm talking about the greatest of all time. He can turn it around in just one play. You can watch it all happen in the playoffs. The playoffs, the playoffs, it's the playoffs. Never is afraid. I see his face. The chosen. I'm talking about Evan McPherson. It's time for the playoffs. It's the playoffs, the playoffs, it's the playoffs.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker. I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at quarterbacking, he's been to our decade teams.
A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat. He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls. And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified GOAT.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
I remember many years ago, Mina Kimes didn't know that she was being heard on Highly Questionable, and she was talking, and she was saying of listeners of this show that she didn't understand how it is that our audience could listen to all 3 hours of this a day, given how busy their lives are. And the thing that has flattered me about both Amin and all his hustling and Dominique Foxworth somehow is that they still listen to all of it. And yesterday, evidently, this doesn't happen very often around here, but yesterday, evidently, Amin was listening, and there was something about Slapdick that made him want to be a part of the conversation from afar. That Mike, or was it, when was it that Mike Ryan called someone a Slapdick? Was
He
it
called
Monday?
Gary Furman a slapdick.
Yeah, that feud has escalated to uncomfortable places where...
Glad we've continued to talk about University of Miami basketball, though.
Anyway, Slapdick made an appearance on the show, and I thought it was an excellent word. It's a funny word, but I hadn't heard it for a while. And I don't know what a slapdick is. I don't know what it actually is. It's someone who's standing there and just slapping their dick?
Pretty much. That's what it comes out. It's basically someone who, like a masturbatory. You're not doing anything other than just touching yourself, basically.
Okay.
And, as opposed to doing your job. And so slapdick was a word that we used in basketball all the damn time. He's a slapdick. What are those slapdicks up to? Everyone's a slapdick. Anyone who's not doing their job was a slapdick. And I remember when I left basketball and I entered the media world, I used that term a couple of times and nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. Right? I even tried to use it on air at ESPN. Obviously, I couldn't say slapdick. So I created the euphemism or the clean version, the radio edit of slappy. He's a slappy as opposed to a slapdick, right? But nobody got it. So I was like, maybe this is just something that we did.
Billy, why are you looking at me that way?
Because you're confused that people didn't know that something you made up, no one knew what the reference was when you just made it up.
Well, no, I was confused. Nobody knew what slapdick was. And then I went slappy to kind of clean it up.
Did you use it when you were mentoring Diana Taurasi?
I didn't mentor Diana Taurasi. I merely helped her win. Right? Basically, you want to win a WNBA title?
She would probably call you a slapdick in her journey.
I am absolutely certain. 1,000%.
You should be so lucky to be called a slapdick.
I think she would
by
say,
Diana
who?
Taurasi.
Oh, DT knows who I
No,
am.
she does, and she definitely has seen his jump shot, like 100%.
Okay,
She's
all right.
seen it.
Look, you know what? Again, another journey that I'm glad I took because it built me into the actor I am today. But Dan, slapdick, I reached the point where I thought maybe this isn't a word that like the common public knows or uses. So I was delighted to hear the show. You guys are talking about the word slapdick.
I've heard it maybe 5 times in my life and never
real?
thought to myself, I wonder why it hasn't been popularized. I've used asswipe more than I have slapdick.
That's gross.
This must come from sports because there's an article here from NBCSports.com, Pro Football Talk, in 2009. And it was after hearing on Parks and Rec, which our friend Mike Schur was writing, the term slapdick. And it said that it came from sports. It says, as John Feinstein points out in Next Man Up, quote, anyone who is anything less than brilliant at his or her job is, in the world, according to former Ravens coach Brian Billick, a slapdick or a slappy for short.
Damn, there you go. See, so slapdick is specifically, it's towards people who are incompetent at their jobs, right? It's not like
Nico. So I can say Nico's a slapdick.
I'm not going to call Nico a slapdick.
Well, what do you mean?
There's a certain level of apathy / laziness that goes along with
Amin
with
still
slapdick.
has to respect him. because
Why
of
do you
his
still
job.
have to respect him like that? This is maximum slapdick situation.
No, I think it's just.
Are you Dan Orlovsky? You can't criticize Pierce because you want to get back in the league?
No, I can criticize I criticize Pierce all the damn time. Have you ever watched Oddball Monday through Thursday on DraftKings Network and on YouTube? Right, but
Criticize Chelsea peers right now.
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah, you said you criticize peers all the time.
All peers.
Criticize a peer. Navy peer. Go.
Navy Pier, overpriced.
I
What's going
agree.
on over there?
That's a great call.
Yeah. So, but
Chelsea Pier is built in 1910.
really, it looks really good for
115 years old. That's older than David wants.
Is
to
it
be.
on the Don't Die documentary? Because that place looks great for some place that's 110 years old.
That really scary coach from Last Chance U, Jason Brown, tried to trademark slapdick.
No, see, like you can't trademark slapdick, man. Slapdick is
Put it on the poll, Juju. Can you trademark slapdick?
when I'm trying to think of what a slapdick is, right? It's got to be a guy who is not just bad at his job, but bad at his job because he's lazy, he's not even trying, right? That's what a slapdick is.
Somebody who wouldn't call around the league to find out if there was value for Luka.
You're not going to do this. Nico's not a slapdick. I'm not going to look. It was. I'm not saying I agree with the move. I'm just saying not a slapdick.
Okay, are you done? Do you have any more information for us on your deep dive on the slapdick? Or
I do. I am really fascinated by the etymology, though, because you were like, "What does it mean?" And I'm like,
I think you guys think that that's what it is, but it's not just somebody who's there slapping their dick. I think the reason that Parks and Rec did it is because it's not actually even a curse. It's just a funny word.
Well,
And the dick's almost implied. It's one word. I don't know what it is, and I don't think it's somebody who's just standing there slapping their dick.
It's exactly that. Dan, imagine this. Imagine if you hired like carpenters, and they're supposed to be like.
So a woman can't be a slapdick.
Yes, of course a woman can be a slapdick. Never said whose dick it's slapping.
You guys ever slap a dick?
All the time. Every morning.
Okay.
What is that?
That and shit.
What is that? It's just unnecessary.
One after the other, Chris.
Look, I didn't think we'd do any worse
one's
today. Look, I got to stop everybody right now, and I'm sorry it took me so long
Stop,
to get to
Dick.
this. Billy, I think Australia's really mad at you, man.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, my
segue.
God.
Why are they so mad at me? I apologize twice. Like, what's the deal, fellas?
Super sincere.
He did.
I thank you, Amin.
I listened.
That's coming from a thespian. 2 times over.
Listens to the whole show every day, and he knows that Australia yesterday was mad at you because you called them a place filled with criminals.
No, well, we don't need to go back.
Well,
We're moving forward.
I want to do a backup Billy in this. They're not all criminals.
Thank you.
But
most of them.
Most of them are descended from criminals. The white ones, at least.
They're not all criminals. Malia?
The indigenous people, not criminals. That was their land.
Exactly
Victims.
right. Victims.
Victims. So
thank you.
Actually, even the ones who weren't descended from criminals are kind of criminals because they stole the land from the indigenous people.
If anything, I was standing up for the indigenous people yesterday, and that's not how they're choosing to see it for whatever reason, and that's more on them than on me.
Billy, you let them off easy. You said it was like 190,000, whatever, like less than 200,000. You let them off easy. It's a nation of millions that stole their land from someone else.
But Jessica did point out it was mostly pickpockets.
Well, yeah, it was like a lot of petty crimes.
Well, I mean,
is it petty when they steal a whole continent?
Crime's a crime.
Thank you, Amin.
I guess they didn't really have a choice in it, though. But then, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history since then that probably could be corrected.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I will not have you try and sneak a Tom Petty in these windows,
come
resurrecting
on.
the spirit of Greg Cody. Someone says Petty and you just get in there with Tom Petty.
Center field.
There's a really small window.
Richard Petty.
Coach.
What
Dick
else
Petty.
did you like about the
Slapdick
show
Petty.
yesterday, Amin? Do you have any other comments for us, critiques, thoughts?
Just slapdick is all he had
That's
for
it?
us. It's not, I don't know that.
What do you think about Mike's Miami men's basketball head coaching report?
Oh,
Sorry, I mean, like, why not do a third day in a row of that?
Now, here's the fun part about it. I'm listening. I don't know nothing about nothing, right? That's how I turn folksy.
Okay, just so, all right. So we're gonna go to Gary Furman again. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again.
You know what? I like the original Confirming. Even though I like the Fuentes remix, the original I think is the best.
Confirming.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So Gary Furman's now feuding with our show. We're feuding with.
I know he should be honored.
Greg Cody's feuding with Gary Furman.
Which sounder are we going with?
The Roy one.
Oh, God.
Greg's the one that made it bad. I don't think Mike made it bad. I think Greg kind of, because, no, actually, you know what? I take it back. You're the one that made it bad. It's no, I had to do the kind of the chain in my head.
Yeah.
Why was Greg talking about, because you were heaping praise on this dude, and you're asking basically Michael Jordan, hey, man, what do you think of Allen Houston? Allen Houston's a good player, right? But like Michael Jordan's like, are you really? You're putting this guy on my plateau?
Jessica, did you just spit out your oatmeal?
I was just waiting for whatever name he was going to throw in there. It was good. Good one. It is Dan's fault.
Confirming.
All right, look.
You kept trying to force him legendary status on him.
Look, just like you will speak with some sort of reverence about whatever was the best front office experience that you had for a 4-month period where you felt like it was a magical time in your realm.
It's longer than 4 months.
There was a time at the
decades
Miami
later.
Herald that was considered the best time at the Miami Herald for sports. And Greg Cody, like anyone who has been listening to this for 20 years who reads the Herald from back then would take what Greg Cody was doing to Gary Furman as being insult by not putting him in tiers below him. Like it was insulting what he was doing to Gary Furman.
Also maybe true.
But, well, this is his defense. His defense as he left the studio was the whole thing of, I'm just telling the truth.
If he's saying this is, Gary would agree with me. I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Chris, first time Chris has ever had Greg's back, by the way. Go ahead, Amin.
So, Dan, this is the best comp I can make. And this one, Jessica, this will hit home for you. Have you ever seen video of Joe Montana being asked about the movie Rudy?
Oh, yes.
That's basically what Dan did. He went to Joe Montana and said, wow, how great was it to play with Rudy? And Joe Montana looked at Dan like, what are you talking about?
Great analogy. He's good at analogies. Yeah,
Confirmed.
I guess that I was coming after the legend Greg Cody with not enough respect, and everyone here is just sort of saying it's okay for Greg Cody to be arrogant about, hey, I'm Michael Jordan, and this is Craig Hodges.
Mike called him a slapdick.
You're asking me about.
See you, Gary. Yeah, Mike was way more disrespectful. Greg is not Michael Jordan. I take that back. Greg is Joe Montana, and Furman is Rudy. And What you didn't do, you know what? Because Greg humbles himself every day. He allows himself to be the butt of the joke around here. We have a lot of fun at his expense. But you know what the biggest shock of my life was? When I listened to Greg Cody on Kornheiser, and I said, who is this? This man is brilliant. He's eloquent. He's thoughtful. He thinks outside the box. This isn't the Greg Cody that I know from the Dan Le Batard Show.
Well, this is one of Greg's greatest frustrations, is that Kornheiser uses him that way, and that's how Greg gets produced by Kornheiser, and we use him the way that we use him.
Pretty much. And so when you walk in here and you start singing the praises of the guy who was the walk-on, who didn't actually play that much, but we're going to let Hollywood tell us lies and fiction.
All I was saying is that if there were 8 great sports writers on that staff, one of the best in the history of sports sections, and this was one of them, does he not get respect?
Hey, man, Ian Clark was on the 2017 Warriors.
Okay, so you can't be the 8th man on a great team, and
you don't have to keep insulting this poor man for no reason 3 days in a row.
Why is that an
Leave
insult?
it
Why did
alone.
you bring it up again?
Come on, Dan.
See you, Gary. Zaza Pachulia.
Why is that an insult, and why are you still spitting up oats?
Such a good sound.
Zaza Pachulia.
Because we were doing birthdays earlier with Samson, and we were looking up famous birthdays. I decided to look around and see whose birthday is tomorrow. We live in a bad time, I would say.
Confirmed.
I'm looking up famous birthdays for tomorrow. There's 6 either YouTube or TikTok stars listed as the top 6.
Ooh.
Then Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, no.
And then right after her, JWoww.
Those sites are all just YouTubers
Wait,
nowadays.
this is a great show quiz idea for Dan and Amin.
Cheese.
Are they real people or not?
Is
Give us some of the
Cheese-
YouTubers and TikTokers.
Is Cheese a real person?
I think you'll be surprised at how many YouTubers and TikTokers I know.
We're YouTubers, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Technically.
And TikTokers. I posted one yesterday.
Billy, I do need to understand, you are generally not someone who looks for fights with countries. I
don't look for fights with anyone. I'm a peaceful man. I just try to go about my day one day at a time.
But Australia, what is this unpleasantness that you have welcomed into your life?
Nothing. They're mad at me, and I've apologized multiple times. I tried to apologize a 3rd time today. I don't know what else I can do here.
Hey, Billy, you know what I hear? I hear from them hit dogs hollering. That's what I'm hearing from them.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Thank you.
Do you want to expound on that? Because it didn't really give Billy anywhere to go. He just sort of stared at you, and then there was silence, which is generally not great in an audio medium.
That's why I hit the sound.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I had my guy Duke from South Africa reach out to me and say, you're absolutely right about everything you said about Australia. And I was like, it's my guy Duke. But he also has, in the past, shown some very anti-Australian sentiments.
Yeah, quite a questionable ally. Great.
It's a
Excellent
different one.
work. Great way to go, Chris.
I mean, he dropped a dookie.
Yeah, you're at the height
He
of
said Duke.
executive
Different guy.
producing.
You're the
there.
Duke. A couple of Dukes cutting it up.
Oh, Josh Groban also tomorrow, 43.
Oh, Josh Groban.
Who's Josh Groban?
Can I ask you guys something? And I know that there's at least one person that's going to fall into this category, but it's a conversation that I've been wanting to have since the holiday time.
Memes and Nightmares is on Hulu. There. I answered it.
Michael Bublé, not for me. He's for some. I get it. Not for me. He's like Mariah Carey, right? His whole thing is Christmas and let me sing songs if I was a crooner in the 50s.
You
about
had me
Christmas.
and you lost me so fast.
What do you
with
mean?
that.
I'm with
like
Billy.
Mariah
If
Carey?
you talk the
Well,
way
in
you
that
sing,
Christmas is his time. Michael Bublé's time is Christmas, and
But every time is Mariah Carey's time.
Are you?
No.
Did you just fantasy?
Oh.
Always be my baby.
I mean, you're gonna argue that Mariah Carey's time is not Christmas time. This is a crazy
No,
argument.
her time
Her
is
time
all
is
the time.
Christmas time.
all the time. And
No,
then at Christmas, she shifts gears to a Christmas side of her, and then she dominates that. And then when Christmas is over, back to dominating the regular stuff.
I
She's
guarantee.
55, by the way.
Wow. I
Double
guarantee you that if you were to look up, you have easily a 10-month span where you don't listen to Mariah Carey at all. Very easily.
Not true.
When's the last time you listened to Mariah Carey?
Today.
Bullshit.
I was listening
Sorry,
to Fantasy.
pardon my French.
Fantasy remix.
The
featuring
French
Old
have-
Dirty Bastard.
French have bad mouths. Is that where that comes
I
from?
think so.
Where's the origin of that? I'll look it up.
I'll look it up.
That's
I'll look it up for you.
Pardon
I'm
my
also
French,
curious. Yeah, pardon my French. I'll look it up. Continue.
You did not listen to Mariah
no,
Carey
but
this morning.
I
It's
do
simply
believe this
impossible.
might be a two America situation.
Yeah.
Well, no, American and France situation.
Michael Bublé, when he's talking, sounds like he's singing. Like, don't do that. Just talk.
Billy,
okay? He's like,
name-
hello, I'm Michael Bublé. It's like, just talk.
I can't tell you a single thing he does other than Christmas specials.
I actually, I don't know a lot of Bublé.
Yeah, name
Thank
a-
you.
No,
So
I'm
that's
not-
why I was with you until you brought up Mariah
Mariah
Carey.
Carey is where we're arguing.
Wait, I'm not. Look, okay, Australia, Mariah Carey. I'm not meaning to disparage any of you. I don't
Pick
mean.
some powerful enemies.
If Mariah is listening to this, I'm not meaning to disparage her. I thought that it was a compliment to own Christmas. Like, I think people think of Christmas, they think Mariah Carey before Santa Claus or Jesus, right? Yeah. And before Bublé.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would.
way
That's
before
fair.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
Yeah, but it's not a his song. He just sings
See, that's my
cover
thing.
songs.
That's why I don't like the comparison, because Bublé, tell me a Bublé song. I don't know any of his songs.
Okay, listen. Mariah, Miss Carey.
There you go.
I apologize. I will remove you from this comparison. I meant it more so that that's the time of the year that they shine, but I will take a step back, Mariah, and I apologize to you.
And
Where's
the
the camera?
And
No,
Australia.
that was sincere. That
We'll
was
get-
way more
yeah.
sincere than your apology to Australia, by the way.
Haven't met you yet.
Well, that's not even how that song goes.
I didn't know who Josh Groban was till I saw Sweeney Todd. What? And then I found out he's like Christmas Carol guy.
Close your eyes.
Josh Groban he's just one of those people that's like, oh, Josh Groban is here.
He shows up everywhere.
He just shows up places, right?
I didn't know who he was.
Random episodes
Love
of
him
TV
now.
shows.
People
He's
seem to
great.
like him.
He seems
Attend
super
the tale of
likable.
Sweeney Todd.
I think when you're cool, like you're just a cool person, you find your way onto a lot of different sets and into a lot of different projects. Kind of like I found my way to Memes and Nightmares, which you can catch on Hulu right now.
You've mentioned that. People say, pardon my French, before swearing because it's a humorous way of apologizing for using profanity by pretending that the curse words they just used are actually French.
That's such an AI-ass answer.
Playing on the stereotype that French is a sophisticated language, even though the phrase is used ironically and the words are actually English. In the past, knowing French was associated with upper class and education, so using French words could be seen as showing off, which is why people would apologize for using them. The irony is that today, pardon my French, is used ironically, as most people understand that the swear words are not actually French.
I'm with you, Jessica. That is Gemini. I've learned to know how Gemini sounds. And Gemini, ladies and gentlemen, is terrible. It doesn't know what the hell it's talking about.
that sounded right, actually.
It sounds right, but it's also almost exclusively wrong.
I saw a headline for an article about the Jaguars that I thought was AI, but I found out it's actually AP. And it was one of the more insulting headlines I've ever read. Quote, Jags expect inexperienced staff, including 34-year-old GM James Gladstone, to, quote, grow into it.
I can't believe he's 34. Have you seen this guy?
He looks so young. I've never seen. Look, it was once upon a time that McVay was the baby, and McVay looked young and looked ridiculous. Have you guys ever seen a sports leader? Theo Epstein was like 28 when he ran the Red Sox.
Sean McVay was young.
He was 30. I think he was
Martin?
younger than this. Yeah. Yeah, that also Steve Martin. We have a clip of the Jaguars' new GM, James Gladstone, talking at his introductory press conference that we're going to play just so you could get a sense for his
How adorable he is.
youthfulness.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the best of Trevor, and I'm really excited for Liam to get a chance to work with him, support him, and really bring the tools that he has in his arsenal to life. And I think it starts by the protection, right? Making sure that he feels like he's got as much time to work with as possible, and also that he's comfortable with the pass catchers. And so I think through that lens, he's going to feel that change in both the operation schematically and then the personnel that we invite into the building.
Looks like Jeremy's younger brother.
My younger brother looks older.
I don't trust him because he dresses like Jeremy.
He does dress like me. I would dress like that.
That means
That's a good fit.
Dan too, though, Billy.
No, this guy looks 19, 20 oldest.
I want to ask you guys, because Theo Epstein is the one I remember, and I could make the argument that Theo Epstein is the most successful baseball executive there's ever been. If you win titles in Boston and Chicago with the Cubs and Red Sox when they haven't won in 100 years. You do it in two different places because you're outsmarting everybody. That one could not have possibly worked out better because he was a Moneyball disciple. This franchise has done it with Urban Meyer. This franchise is a regional franchise. It's barely hanging on to the fringes of feeling like they matter major league the way that the teams in that sport matter when they're good at football. Jacksonville has been lost for a long time, has been embarrassing for a long time, and has a quarterback that all of us are looking at and being like, I don't know if that's worth $50 million. So why not turn to the young guy who probably crunches numbers better than others instead of Urban Meyer when you've already done that and it lasted 10 games?
There's no way this guy doesn't crunch numbers.
That's what I want to land on, Chris, because I don't know. I just learned about this guy right now.
He's got
analytics out the ass.
Hold on.
Oh, my God.
Are we stereotyping right now, or do we know?
No,
this?
this guy's a fucking nerd.
I'm profiling.
profiling.
I am straight up profiling. I know nothing about this dude other than, man, he's got metrics down.
You know why I believe you, Dan? Why I believe you're right? Because a guy who's deep into metrics probably can't read who's cool and who isn't, and that would make sense why he hired Liam Cohen to be the head coach. He probably walked in and said, this guy's cool. And the rest of us are like, this dude, man.
Well, but I would also say that I've gotten to know Tony Khan a little bit, the owner's son, and he is a numbers nerd, and he loves the information game. And they've given it up. They've given franchise control and leadership over to a bunch of football people, cavemen before, and now they're like, no, we're going to do it another way.
He also didn't hire Liam Cohen. So Liam Cohen basically went, got interviewed, and then said, never mind, because I don't like your GM. Then they fired the GM and then kidnapped Liam Cohen, brought him back, didn't let him go back to his job in Tampa Bay. He takes the job. Then they hire this guy. And I think that there's a likelihood Liam Cohen's going to bully this guy.
Duval.
I also saw a video
Wedgie, swirly,
where
something's coming.
Florio and Sims asked him if he would redo his Duval, and he was like, not right now. Like, he wouldn't do it. He's not ready for it.
That means he's not confident. Yeah. He's like, wait, is it Duval or is it Duval?
He still doesn't know.
Or he's not committed.
Somehow this GM has been working for the Rams since 2016, despite looking like that. He worked for the Rams for 8 years before this. He's lived for 8 years before this?
Yeah, that's nuts that he's been in football for 8 years, that he climbed his way to the top, grinded his way out for 8 years.
If he's a guy that looks slightly older, we're like not paying attention to the Jaguars GM hire right now. He just looks like baby.
Facial hair.
Does intrigue me.
A
like,
mustache.
This guy's good. I like him.
He was hired.
Going on.
He was hired by friend of the show Tony Baselli, and I wonder if it was just like Tony's like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Yeah. He must be an analytics
So many
guy.
words.
But yeah, well, Baselli's now a VP over there. He's like in charge. He's got some real power over there. Yesterday, I don't know if you guys were surprised by this. Can you get me the wheel here? Because I saw that Tony brought in from Hialeah the wheel this morning with football topics, because I was surprised yesterday at the amount of football that made an appearance. So, Jessica, you tell me what it is that it lands on here, because the wheel, as I see it from over here. So the Browns say they're not going to trade Myles Garrett. The Falcons say they were unaware that Kirk Cousins' arm was hurt. Aaron Glenn says the Jets players were mad at him about cutting Aaron Rodgers. The Colts are throwing open Anthony Richardson to a quarterback competition. The Patriots are toying with making Joe Milton available. Devontae Adams goes anywhere that Aaron Rodgers goes. The Eagles are interested in Myles Garrett to keep him away from the Commanders. The Raiders might trade up to get Cam Ward. Gronk might be making a comeback in Colorado. And Jamar Chase is going to become the highest paid non-position quarterback player. Go ahead and spin the wheel. What does that land on, Jessica?
Oh, it's Jamar Chase.
Definitely didn't forget everything he said and just picked
Yeah,
the
there's
last
no
one.
way.
Did you guys just stop listening to me? Is that
I
what
actually
happened?
was writing them down, but I lost you
It's
at
a very
Gronk-
wide
Gronk-
wheel.
I was looking at it.
Gronk
Those
comeback.
slices are so small.
Yeah.
The font is so small. How'd you even read it?
I'm just saying.
I do actually want to talk about Gronk. Can we talk? What is that?
Well, no, it landed on Jamar Chase.
Yeah, we have to talk about him.
Can you spin it again, Chris?
Well, but it's not. No, this is no.
So is Chase off the board, or we can get back
Oh
to him?
shit! It landed on the Browns not wanting to trade Myles. Really wanted to get to Gronk.
The overarching point for me was there was a lot of football news yesterday out of nowhere. That was a lot of stuff that made an appearance where I thought that some of it might be fake, because Gronk making a comeback.
Didn't land on that, so we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Myles Garrett, though.
Well, Myles Garrett, I'm more interested in Myles Garrett. Like him staying there and the Browns doing this one is interesting. I mean, because wherever it is that player empowerment resides, right, it has not yet come to football, where someone like Myles Garrett, like where football is a different sport, different culture, and wherever it is that we have thought that basketball has let it get out of control with how powerful the players are, where they can hold an organization hostage, there are very few football players who actually have the power to leverage an organization that we all see from afar is less excellent than they're worth having. I gave you the stat recently that this Browns franchise, in terms of historic incompetence, when you go 1-31 for 2 seasons and what you end up having is none of the MVP quarterbacks that were number 1 picks in that draft, you miss on all of those, and your 2 best players are 2 players that ask for trades because you're incompetent. Like, you don't do anything right, and now you're tied up. Myles Garrett doesn't want to break his back because we've got too much money tied up in Deshaun Watson, and it's all ruined. Like, he doesn't want to sign up for, no, I've got 3 more years of pass rush here. I'm not going to play for a team that's going to throw Jameis Winston out there 9 games a season and have him look better than Deshaun Watson, where all our money is tied up. Myles Garrett has legitimate power here. It's not, but he's got it. But football won't let you have legitimate power here. So what is it?
I think he's one of the people who does have the power, though. I think they're going to say, we're not going to trade him and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, there it is again. Wow.
You've got a crutch. Now you need to pay attention to it. I'll tell you why you need to pay attention to it. It's what Stugotz did at the beginning of his career, and it was just always at the end of the day. Really? At the end of the day, it's just a verbal crutch. It's useless.
It is useless. But they're going to say what they're going to say, which is, we're not going to trade him. You have to project that strength, especially in that sport, right? But ultimately, which is a different version of that at the end of the day, right?
That's right. That's great. All crutches to get you to the next point.
Ultimately, Myles Garrett is not only high enough value, but also impactful enough for their team that he can ruin their season.
You have
by
in the Cleveland Browns. You don't have that. That organization had expectations, and they had a brief period where it was Manziel and it was going to be Odell Beckham, and it's the first time any of us have believed in the Browns. They are now starless. They do not have a star. This was a playoff team recently. Myles Garrett is their only star. He's their only important player. I can point to Njoku if you want to, at least in part because he's always wandering the earth shirtless. And you would too if you looked like him, walks through airports shirtless, does all interviews shirtless. But the Browns don't have a star now. They've got one player, we know. They've got one player that America respects, one. And it's only because Chubb is hurt.
Who also has 2 years left on his deal, right? So there's that element to it as well, which is, look, not only can I kind of mix things up here, but every moment you wait to trade me, my trade value decreases. You need to move now. In many ways, this is kind of like the Jimmy Butler thing from last summer. It's like, if you're going to do him, if you're going to deal him, do it now.
The difference between the Browns and the Heat is just it seems like the Browns would be okay being bad for another season or two, right? They're in tank mode, and so holding on to this player, even if he can sabotage you with his on-field play, which isn't what we would expect from Myles Garrett, it might be okay with them just to hold on to a guy that the fans love.
I've got to explain, though, on this one, where I'd love this power to come to football. Very few people actually end up having it. He can leverage the Browns here because he doesn't want to waste 3 seasons playing for something that is sure to be 6-11. They've got a quarterback problem that can't be fixed. That's not that you cannot. Are people not aware? Like we throw around, even though it's a salary cap sport, like we all understand that's one of the most ruinous contracts ever given for guaranteed money, correct? It has pinched Myles Garrett so that the prime of what's left of this part of his career will be played for sure in obscurity with every season feeling like this one, which is how he gets to the point of, I don't want to play here anymore.
Now,
no amount of money will keep me here.
If I'm the Browns, do I say, hey, does Cam Ward change any of that feeling? Right? If they draft Cam Ward, now you've got another star. You got the best quarterback in college football.
And that could be even more reason, A, for him to either participate and stay and say, I'll do my job on the defense, you build this around the rookie, or really, it should incentivize the Browns to trade him. Because why wouldn't you try to get as many pieces that you can build around Cam Ward as this new wave of the organization moves forward?
I think the issue, though, is the dead money hit. If they trade him, it's going to be like $36 million if they trade him before June. next year.
That's
And
part of it, yeah.
They're in cap hell because of making the worst deal ever.
I want to watch what happens with the players in this sport who have legitimate power, because you see what's happening with Matthew Stafford and the Rams. That strikes me as a unique business relationship where the Rams appreciate their quarterback, what he's done for them, and they're like, hey, you want to go shop around? Go have your agent see if someone wants to give you $50 million a year. That's not normal. That's not a normal thing to have. That's like McVay super grateful for, hey, look past us to a championship. You gave us all golden. You gave us all a golden time here. Our trade of Goff worked out, and now they're working together to get a quarterback that could also make a mess in a sport that doesn't allow these messes. Like, you understand how infrequently you ever see any of this in football? It's not a normal thing to come to your franchise and exhibit any power as the laborer.
But then I often think about that. Is that because they can't, or it's just because they never, I didn't know you could do that, right? If we look at football and say the reason it's done this way is because they basically convinced the labor pool that this is all you can do. You can't do any of that mess over here. And then as they look over at basketball and player after player getting exactly what they wanted, do we not see a rise of this happening on the NFL level?
I think this is what Aaron Rodgers is doing to test the fringes of this. You realize how valuable a quarterback is? I'm going to pick my next spot, and Devontae Adams is coming with me if I want to play, even though my QBR is 25th in the league. It's a real power they have, but Belichick and Kraft ran off Brady, and then he won, and Brady won all the games after that. Like, Brady wins all of the money after that, but no, they don't want players to have power. Why would they?
No, they don't want players to have power, but sometimes you have the power by just telling people, you don't have any power, shut up. And then one day you realize, wait a second, I have all the power. What are you talking about?
But it's part of the entire culture of you don't make a mess for your team, you don't hold out. It's the next guy. It's the whole culture of the thing.
When you say culture, you're saying there isn't like a rule or a financial restriction, although there are on some players based on how their contracts are structured. But when you talk about quarterbacks and guys at the top who have a lot of guaranteed money, then yeah, they really don't. They can tell you the culture, and that's not how we do things here. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's the honor system, basically. You're asking me just to go along and get along.
You did at the end of the day again. Play the Stugotz sound for me the first time I chastised them about this about 17 years ago.
Listen, at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, right, that's what it boils down to. Listen, at the end of the day, again, I spoke about this in the 4 o'clock hour. At the end of the day, he's going to help that team win football games. At the end of the day, though, it's the players. Ricky, at the end of the day, can help him win football games.
He sounds so young.
Or he sounds like he had a golf ball in his throat. That was young.
That's young Stugotz. The end of the day thing, do I do this every day? And today
you do it all the time.
Really? You guys concur on this?
I do it too.
I haven't really noticed, but at the end of the day, it's about what you've done for me lately.
Solid, Jeremy. Nice.
Also, the quarterbacks right now that are in positions to sign bigger deals are in a good spot because there's not a lot of potential day one starters in this NFL draft. Not really the same as having like power via your CBA or whatever, but it is interesting to see how, like, in a normal year, the way Darnold ended the season, probably not great for him. In this year, probably isn't going to matter too much. He's probably still going to make a lot of money.
And to your point, Dan, Diana Rossini's latest, 10 minutes ago, was that Stafford's exploration of his market over the last few weeks has attracted significant interest from teams, notably the Raiders and the Giants, who are two teams near the top of that draft. Teams are anticipating the Rams will now be driving up the asking price if they decide to move him. So in this case, both for Stafford and the organization working together on this, theoretically is not only going to get him where he wants to be, but also bring back the best draft capital for the exchange.
When you were in the front office, did you ever have players that you guys allowed to explore trade options? And how does that work? Do they come back and hey, so I was talking to the Raptors and they said
trade options? No, but we did consult players. We wanted to trade Shaq, and Steve Kerr got a deal done with Portland basically. And he went to Shaq. He said, "I have a deal on the table right now to send you to Portland." And Shaq said, "Please don't send me to Portland."
Yeah, but
so we didn't.
Stafford's not cold calling teams hey, it's Matthew Stafford, quarterback for LA. I'd like to maybe play for your
What's
team.
your snack machine like?
That's what agents are.
That's what I'd be asking.
Who was it? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander fired his agent, and everyone's like, "What a great move!" And I'm like, "No, you need an agent because an agent is the one that gets you out of trouble."
You have honey buns?
Chris's agent's like, Chris, no, we need to talk about the terms of the deal. And he's like, please, what cereal?
At the end of the day, that's what he cares about.
Confirmant. Again with Gary Furman. Again.